Hello, my name is John Smith, and welcome to the Psalming Effect. And this weekly meditation is brought to you on Mondays and provided here on the Facebook page of the Weyburn Church of Christ. And today is the 9th of May in 2022. And I'll be sharing with you a meditation from Psalm 55 today, from a line in the psalm, actually, and several of the verses. But first I want to tell you a little story that immediately comes to mind when I read the line that comes from the psalm. Let me read the line. For they drop trouble upon me. Okay, that's Psalm 55, and that's just a line from verse 3. Where my mind goes immediately when I read that, and for they drop trouble upon me. Some of the other versions will say, disaster comes upon me, or they bring trouble down upon me. But they drop trouble upon me. What is that reminding me of? When I was in high school, I went to a Christian boarding school, and the boys' dormitory that I lived in, some of the time at least, was the upstairs floor of a building where you went in on the bottom floor and you went up a flight of stairs, and then you were on the top floor. So it was just two stories high, so it wasn't a real tall building. But anyways, there was a window on the landing when you got upstairs before you actually went into the dorm. And if you opened that window and looked out, you were looking out at and looked down, you were looking at a sidewalk that went by, and it was the main, really the only sidewalk if you went directly from the school building to the cafeteria. So every day at lunch, just about the whole school walked past and underneath basically that window on their way to the cafeteria for lunch. And so every now and then, this is what a couple of the boys would get in their head when they were thinking of pulling pranks. I never did this, even though I sometimes lived in that dorm. I remember being a victim of this every once in a while when I forgot to pay attention. But what some of the boys would do is they'd fill up water balloons, and they'd open that window about this far. And so people would be walking along, and whoever they thought they'd want to get with this little prank of theirs, as soon as those people got right underneath the window, they would toss out a couple of water balloons, and psh. Now, this wasn't a real tall building. The second story wasn't really high, so this wasn't going to hurt anybody, but it was enough of a drop that if the balloon hit them, it would burst right away, or if it hit the ground at their feet, if they didn't actually land on them, the balloon would splat and splatter water, and ha 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 ha. And this was their little joke. This was their prank that they played on people. And it didn't happen every day, and you always tried to catch the people who were doing it and get them to quit doing that. But this prank kept recurring at different times throughout the school year because somebody would get it in their head, oh, this would be a fun thing to do. And so every now and then, I never participated in doing the prank, but I was the victim of a falling water balloon. So that's one thought I have, one memory I have when I read that line, for they drop trouble upon me. The troubles that we have in life, the trials that Satan brings our way, the temptations, and maybe the conflicts that we have with other people. Maybe we don't have something big that happens, but it seems like sometimes we struggle with an accumulation of little things. Just little bothersome things that can be discouraging, and after accumulation, of a lot of nagging, niggling things that pile up, Satan ends up discouraging us. And so Maybe that's what the psalmist was thinking of in these first three verses. I'm going to read the three verses. Give ear to my prayer, O God, and hide not yourself from my plea for mercy. Attend to me and answer me. I am restless in my complaint, and I moan because of the noise of the enemy, because of the oppression of the wicked. For they drop trouble upon me, and in anger they bear a grudge against me. So, but maybe, and oftentimes, and eventually, at some time in your life, there's going to be more than just the little things that can pile up, but there are the big things that happen. And so another thing that I thought of with that line, they drop trouble upon me, is I think about those who are, and there are people in this world right now who are living in a war zone and who have bombs, like not little water balloons, but bombs that explode and that destroy buildings and that kill people. They have bombs dropping upon them where they live, and they're in hiding, and they're in fear, and the ground shakes and the building shakes, and the sound and all of it is very terrifying, and to me that's very symbolic of really the trouble that we all run into at some time in our life. It may not be this literal bomb that explodes, but in a figurative sense, it is. We will have those kind of disasters. We will lose a loved one. We will go through a sudden, an unexpected health crisis, maybe an injury of some kind from an accident, or we'll have a financial collapse or a broken relationship. You know, it's devastating to lose the relationship with a spouse or with a best friend or whatever, over whatever it is. You know, to lose your job, there's just a lot of things that can happen that are like having a bomb dropped on you. That's, for they drop trouble upon me. So sometimes it's just an accumulation of little things, or sometimes it is really a big disaster of some kind that we have to deal with. We have a lot of troubles in this life, and Satan will try to defeat us with those things. David, the writer of this psalm, writes many of the psalms, and many of his psalms are like this. It's lament. He's crying out to God. He's bringing his complaint. He's moaning. He's bemoaning the troubles that have fallen upon him. But what I love about Psalm 55 is it's a balanced message, because in other parts of the psalm, David shows his faith, and David shows hope as he cries out to God. Listen to verses 16, 17, and 18 in contrast to verses 1, 2, and 3, which I read to begin with. But I call to God, and the Lord will save me, evening and morning and at noon. I utter my complaint and moan, and he hears my voice. He redeems my soul in safety from the battle that I wage, for many are arrayed against me. And so, for as much as this psalm is about the trouble that is dropping in on me, either bit by bit like little water balloons, or the big disasters like a bomb going off, as much as that the psalm is a cry about that, it's also an encouragement to cry out to God and find and know that he is there, and that he brings relief, he brings healing, he sees us through these things, he helps us deal with the mundane, and we should never think, oh, I'm not going to bother God with this. No, God wants to be bothered with what's bothering us. We need to bring our troubles to him. And of course, the big things. Don't never try to face a major trial of life alone. Seek your God, and He will lead you through it. He will help you find peace and resolution. It's amazing how God brings people into your life, or sometimes takes you away from people that are causing trouble, or the people that you need to help you get through trouble. God works in some marvelous ways, and just remember that if life is a little bit tough for you right now, either because of something big or just an accumulation of little things, remember to put your hope and your faith in God, like David, the man of faith, the psalmist. And read Psalm 55 several times throughout this week, and let it be an encouragement to you. And remember this, that God's grace is for you in 2022.